Hallo und willkommen zu Mo von VR. Mein Name ist Mo Tensen und ich war ja auf der EGX 2018. Ihr habt schon einige Reportagen davon gesehen. Ich mache mal eine Playlist übrigens über alle Sachen. Ja? Also es gab das sehr gelungene Astrobot-Interview. Ich habe einen Beat Saber und einen Ace Combat-Test gemacht und tatsächlich haben wir auch ein langes Interview über Dreams gehabt. Leider musste ich feststellen im Nachhinein, das war nicht in einem abgeschlossenen Raum, sondern in einer zwar Presse, aber Halle und es war sehr, sehr laut. Ja, der Ton ist nicht besonders gut. Eigentlich sehr interessant, weil wir die Mitarbeiterin von Media Molekül sehr gut ausquetschen konnten. Wir bedeutet dabei ich und der Affenpresser. Der Affenpresser hat gefilmt und tatsächlich auch jetzt den Schnitt gemacht hier, denn insgesamt kam 1 Stunde Videomaterial runter. Das hat er so ein bisschen für uns schon aufbereitet. Und vielen Dank dafür, für beides, ne? Das tolle Filmen und das Schneiden. Das machte mir meine Arbeit natürlich einfacher. Ich konnte mich auf die Fragen konzentrieren, habe die Dame ausgequetscht. Sie hat uns sehr, sehr viele interessante Sachen gezeigt. Hauptsächlich geht es darum, wie man in Dreams die Tools wirklich bedient, ja, und das Game steuert. Also nicht das Game, sondern den Editor-Teil, wo man alles selber macht. Das hat mich am meisten interessiert. Und davon zeigt es uns sehr, sehr viel. Und das ist sehr spannend. Und wie gesagt, ich muss mich entschuldigen, der Ton ist halt wirklich schlecht. Es sind sehr viele Background-Geräusche. Es ist dadurch ein bisschen anstrengend zu hören. Ich hoffe, ihr beißt euch durch. Vielleicht findet sich ja noch einer, der Lust hat, das mal ins Englische oder Deutsche, sagen wir mal, englische Untertitel oder Deutsch zu übersetzen. Dann kann er mich gerne kontakten. Ich bin leider nicht so gut in Englisch, dass ich mir das zutraue. Und es ist auch eine Menge Arbeit, ne? Nicht zu unterschätzen. Aber falls jemand darauf Lust hat, gerne bei mir melden. Ich wäre sehr dankbar für einen deutschen Untertitel. Das würde es wesentlich einfacher machen, denn der Inhalt ist eigentlich sehr spannend. So, das war meine Vorrede. Also das ist jetzt wieder ein Part noch aus der EGX. Das hat sehr lange gedauert, aber jetzt ist er da. Das Dreams-Interview von Mo von VR mit einer Dame von Media Molekül, die uns netterweise da durchgeführt hat. Danke, Herr Affenpresser. Und jetzt stürzen wir uns einfach rein. Habt Spaß. Schreibt gerne in den Kommentaren, was ihr über Dreams denkt. Das würde mich sehr interessieren. Bis dann. Bye-bye.
This also, my favorite bit of that is like, if you make a clone, you can actually sort of like clone things out like iteratively and bend them around. And like, I'm just using the gyro controls to like place things and make things. So, like a cool bendy space rock, sure. But then we also have collections of objects, and you have access to everything that anyone has ever made in the Dreamiverse. And you can make those into collections to make it easier, sort of like building kits for yourself to use. Or you can just search, like, I need a cat, I need more rocks, like, I need a mountain. I'm going to choose a sort of like hexagon. So we have a bunch of guides to sort of help you do things in the Dreamiverse, and so this one has something on it that makes it stick to surfaces, but I sort of want to use it in a more freeform way, so I'm just taking that off. But like these things will do things like take off all the lighting in the level so you can see what it looks like without it, or it'll make things like move in a straight line. If you're trying to do like really architectural building, like it'll help you build things on a grid. So now that we have our like space rock, we can start to like twist that around and kind of make, we could use this to build out our level. So this is like the very entry level for art, just sort of stamping, cloning, and building.
Can you change the material of the parts anytime too?
Yeah, so we have a whole bunch of different ways to change the way things look. So in this, it's like if I go into like our sculpt mode is basically where you would do all of this from scratch, and that has options for what kind of finish. Like if you want it to be metal or wax or like a different kind of texture. You can also like make it like fuzzy or and give it different physical properties as well. That's kind of what I did with this planet back here. Like I made it shiny and sort of changed some of its properties. We also have like a coat mode, so you could like choose, like you could start changing the color or like the finish. We give like a ton of options for it. So that's how you can create something that looks like grass and like something that looks like metal. I'll show you a little bit towards the end how you would do that. So then there's the entry level for animation. I'm going to go and grab a platform that we can make move. So if we were going to make this like a platforming game, there's our platform. And animation in Dreams is actually as easy as just like picking something up and moving it. So if I grab our action recorder, the next thing that I do in this scene is going to record. So if I wanted to make a moving platform, I would just make a moving platform. So now the game will just do that back. So I could start to see how I could make a bunch of these and start like having a platformer. But it also works for like everything else.
Do you have control about the set of keyframes in this case?
Oh yeah, you could actually, that's sort of like the intermediate version is like doing keyframe animation. So yes, actually I could do everything with keyframe. I could go like really deep into the tools, but like the easy way is to do this.
Okay,
And you can then like, maybe you just want that to happen once, you know, or like go back and forth along the same one, or for that animation to loop, which is ping pong. You could make it go much slower. There's a whole bunch of little ways to start to tweak that, or you could just re-record it if you wanted to do a different job. But that action recorder works on everything. So, for example, if I use that, this is our sun and sky gadget, and this just shows me like where the sun is in the world. So, if you wanted to take your level from like day to night, you could actually just record yourself doing that, and now that, you know, when we go back into the level, like you now have a day and night cycle. And you could put that on a timeline so it happened, like, and sort of stretch it out so it happens over a longer period of time. Like, but all of these tools are meant to work together. So like once you learn something that helps you do one thing, you can start applying it to other things in the Dreamiverse. You can also do the same thing for characters. So if you were going to make like a cutscene, or you were going to make like an animated film, you could puppet your character and say like, "Hi everyone."
That's sweet.
And that's probably the easiest way to start. Like I said, like making cutscenes, or if you wanted to like host your own little show in Dreams, like you could do it like that. And unfortunately, my camera isn't hooked up, and I didn't have enough time to restart the system in between this and the last demo. But I could actually record my voice along with that, so I could have my character be like, "Hi, hello, what's going on?"
This is very interesting.
Yeah.
Are we able to import any picture sound?
So you can't import pictures, but you can import sounds. So not only can you import your own voice, but if you're like a really good guitarist, like you could record yourself playing guitar and then put it in the music tool. I'll show you how to make a music track right now.
And so also a 3D import from objects?
No, we don't do 3D imports because everything is just made in the tools.
Okay.
But we do support it for audio. In the sound mode, I'm going to grab a timeline. And so you could use timelines for animation and special effects, and you could add all sorts of things to this timeline, but I'm going to use it for just music. So just like we have a whole bunch of assets that you can choose from and a whole bunch of things that are made in the Dreamiverse, we have the same for music. So if I go into search, we could look for instruments that we could play, we could look for sound effects and add those to various things in the level. We have effects fields with like guitar pedals, and we have a whole bunch of like pre-made like noises and things to sort of help you start with a little bit of help. And we also have music clips. How about will you choose like a bass line for me?
Oh my god. Let's see.
I just like when people choose their own like style of music. Like I don't want to make the tune for you.
How do I? Oh, okay. It's the.
Oh yeah, you're just moving the gyro controls. Like you don't need to use the analog sticks at all, really.
Can you use the move controller in flat mode too?
Yeah, and what I really like with the move, personally, I really like using the move controller for sculpting.
Yeah.
It's really fun to like build things in 3D Space Kit. Cool, dig it. I'm going to have you play an instrument now. So we have hundreds of instruments in Dreams. This is just one of them. I like this one because I'm not particularly musically inclined myself, and this is easy to play for me. because you don't need to be terribly precise. So again, I'm going to hand this over to you. You don't need to touch the analog sticks. Just move the gyro controls. And you can use the face buttons and the ones here to start to make musical notes. You can hold them down. If you hit the touchpad while you're holding the note, it'll bend the note. So you can start to make like really cool like noises and effects. When you're ready, click both thumbsticks, and you'll start recording.
Oh my god.
So this is going to be your song. And so these are effects fields, and like you can make your own and you can add them on. So this is what like basically a guitar pedal in Dreams looks like. All right, record away.
That sounds horrible.
Very funny.
All right, well done.
Are there additional modes to
Yeah,
make
so
the song?
you can use there's different scales. There's different you can add chords. We have an arpeggiator that will like play a series of notes for you. But if we play this back, we can see all the different notes that you hit.
Oh, I love how it has these 3D drawings.
But check this out. You can also see it on a piano roll, and so you use the bend one a lot, and you can actually go in and you can just move, and you can actually clone these just like you did on the thing, and you can start to actually start editing a musical track. And I know I said that there's like a beginning, an advanced, and a professional version of Dreams in each tool. So like if you're super like hardcore audio, you can actually go into the slices of audio and like start to edit on a really granular level. There's a whole bunch of different things that you can also affect in this. So like if you wanted to change the pitch and all those things, and like if you wanted to go super deep into the audio stuff, you absolutely could. And then you could record your own voice in, so like if you wanted to sing over your track or you wanted to do something like that, you could as well. I made my own cat's meow into an instrument in Dreams the other morning when I was bored. There's a lot of different things that you can do.
Please show this cat meow.
It's on that one.
Okay.
But it is like super funny. Now I'm going to show you how we make explosions. So we have this paint mode, and the paint mode, like we have a whole bunch of different like brushes that you can choose from. And so if I grab one and I start drawing, I'm going to draw here.
Is the planet in the background, is that also an object?
Yes.
Okay.
So hold on, if I exit this mode, I can actually just move the planet, and it's got some lighting behind it. But yeah, everything in Dreams is like in this level is a different thing that we could like move, customize. And even though we've made some, like we can still edit any of this stuff. It's all meant to be done like in one space. So now you can start to see like how we might do something like making rain or weather effects. So if I go into this mode, I can duplicate that line around the camera. So now everywhere I go in the level, like that line will sort of like follow us around. And that's one of the ways that we start to make like rain or snow or fog or something. What I really like to do with it is make, where'd my line go? Oh, there it is. It's so faint. I'll have to make it less dense. You can start to do things that would make it more like explosions or, let's see. I basically just draw a random line and try to figure out what I can do with it. This is because everything is like done in such a like visual way. Part of how I learned to do things in Dreams is mostly just playing around in the tools until I find something that's super cool. So like you could, if I take the pulse off, you can see that it's just like running lines in space, and the pulse is like following it out along that. So this is how we make like all of our effects. And then you could also like stamp and clone this and make it bigger, make it smaller. I'm grabbing the planet, aren't I? Just the same way that you do with like anything else in Dreams. So it's a pretty flexible tool to bring this you can actually like see all the changes that you're making really easily, and like that's helped me a lot because like I don't have to like wait for something to render and then watch it and be like, oh, what did I do wrong? Like I can just do it on the screen. The thing that so like some of this stuff, like the stamping and like you said, like that took me no time at all. Like that was like literally my first day using Dreams. Animation was like first day using Dreams. But now I've just been like learning like various different things all the time. So for example, something I learned yesterday, or like 2 days ago I think. So we have that sculpt mode that we were talking about, and oh, I don't know why my looseness is so. Here, I'm going to go into a different level to do this because I think it's really fun. But I want to be able to show you the sculpt tool. So if we start here, we go into sculpt. We have a bunch of like objects that we can choose from, and this is basically like virtual clay. Like I can move it, I can like I can cut into it, I can copy it, I can paste it, I can do all the different things that I have been doing. I'm going to delete this one and make something simple. I'm going to go into the finishes. I'm going to make it shiny and maybe a little bit waxy, and then I can give it physical properties. So like right now this balloon doesn't move, but I can make it move. Let's reset it, but it doesn't really move like a balloon, so I could make it bounce. Yeah, so now it's a little bit squashier, maybe a little bit bouncier. Turn down the density a little. It's a little bit more like a balloon, but not until it ignores gravity. So now I have like a cool like floaty balloon, and then there's a bunch of things that I can do with that. I don't know why anybody would do what I'm about to do, but I just think it's really fun. So like we also have a lot of gameplay gadgets and Dreams, and there's a lot of different ways to make like to add cameras so that you can start to like put a film together. We have like lighting, you can add lights to a scene, and like actually adding lights to a scene and like adding a camera to a scene are pretty simple. I can just sort of, it's actually just shining a light on it. And then you can change like the properties of that light, so you could make like it brighter, you can change the color, like there's a whole bunch of different options there. You could also add a camera, so when we go into the scene, like I just want my camera to sort of look at the scene. It looks... So now when we hit play, like we have a light on a balloon, right? And that's the camera shot I set up. But I'm going to use a gameplay gadget that we call an emitter. And so if I go into this and I choose our emitter, like its name suggests, all it does is emits an object. So now I've told it to emit this balloon. So now it will start spitting out balloons into space.
And in this case, can you give every balloon a random different color, for example? Is this possible?
Yes, it could. Tell it to emit this balloon. And now it's going to emit rainbow balloons. And we make it emit speed a little slower, time between emits, turn it down. And all of a sudden we just have like a bunch of rainbow balloons coming out. So yeah, you can start to do like really ridiculous stuff. And again, this is something where I figured out like I don't really know like what all of these things kind of do, but when I start playing with them in a visual way, I can kind of figure it out for myself, and that's actually the way I've learned how to do lots of things in the tools. So yeah, rainbow balloon party. So it's our dream for people to be able to like make their own games and share their own films and stuff like that. I mean, I think a lot of what people make in Dreams is going to be like really silly, fun, quick, shareable stuff. I mean, there are teams that will make full games and like incredible stuff and like probably outdo us at our own like creation skills.
and that brings us to the next question. When you create something, is this then just usable into Dreams, or can we export a standalone thing?
It is something that is possible and that we've actually done, exporting things out of Dreams, but that's part of also like decisions that we need to make with Sony about like what we allow people to extract from it. Because you could extract like an asset that you made. We've actually 3D printed things we've made in Dreams.
Yeah.
Like we've 3D printed our characters and that kind of stuff, but we're still figuring out like how that fits into what we allow the community to do. So it's possible, yes.
The question I mean is when you, for example, make a little game into dreams, can you make this little game stand alone without dreams?
So we're actually, yes, that's technically possible, and we're working with Sony to figure out like how that would work for the PlayStation. Because if we were going to have people do that, like we also would need it to be like localized and stuff. So it might be that we work with a team to do something, to work on a game, like find something really amazing in the Dreamiverse and work with them to publish it outside of Dreams. But for the time being, you would just make your game in Dreams, and other people who have Dreams would be able to play it.
Yeah. Because it's in fact a dream for creative people.
Yeah.
We can make something without the coding guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, and there is like logic and processing and all that kind of stuff that you can do. It's in a very visual way. Like we started to see it a little bit with the emitter, but like there's a whole like creating gameplay side to it as well.
Yeah, can you show just the tool, not so deep, but
well, so like this has a whole bunch of options for things that you could use to make gameplay. So the one that I use all the time is a trigger zone. So a trigger zone was actually my introduction to how I might start to make gameplay for something. So what happens in a trigger zone is anything like when a character enters this zone, you can hook it up to like a piece of. You can hook it up to like maybe a lighting effect or a sound effect or a movement. And so when a character walks in that zone, it will detect the character and make that movement happen at that time. So that's helped teach me like, oh, okay, so I made it the other day, so when we were in that space zone, the planet fell when a character stepped on a platform. And like that's the way that you can start to build like logic together. And we use this for all sorts of things. So this was my introduction to actually creating gameplay in Dreams. But if you go into the gameplay tools, like we have tons of different things, and this is what our designers use to make like really complex gameplay.
And how's the pipeline? Well, create a character. I'm modeling them with the sculpting tool, and how I can rig the character.
So I think, personally for me, like character creation is one of the harder things for me, but it's actually very easy to edit other people's characters. So like if you want to like change the colors or change the looks in it, but if you want to create a character from scratch, we actually have like a default biped that you can sculpt onto.
Okay.
And the cool thing about the default biped for me is if you're sort of making a character and you want it to just sort of like have some characteristics that you want to, you can, like I said, like everything you can play with in sort of a visual way. We can make it, give it sort of like a sassy walk. We can make it move its arms more when it walks. And like you can start to customize the motions and how your character might move. So yeah, that's our default one, and you can sculpt onto this. You can let me open the sculpting really quickly. So
can I attach objects on this?
Yeah. So like if somebody else had like a really good like head that you wanted to use, you could do that. We have two controllers on. That's why it's doing that. But like you could start to. I'm a terrible sculptor, and it's not really my foray. But like you can sculpt onto it, so you could start like if you wanted to give it like a block for a head.
Okay, so it's very easy to use. It's a built-in rig system for the character animation, and you can add your stuff on it and easily.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you can just take characters that I just use characters that other people have made. We'll have a test run before launch, and like I said, it's the same team that works on Little Big Planet. So like they are pros. Because yes, when you can make all sorts of things, like we know it's going to be made.
I hear the whole game is running in VR too. This is true.
Is what?
The whole game is running in VR too.
VR too?
VR.
Virtual reality.
Oh, in VR.
Virtual
VR?
reality.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry,
Virtual reality, yes.
So the game does support VR. The sculpt tools are really impressive in it because you can like build out in a 3D space.
Can't imagine.
But yeah, we're not showing it right now. But yeah, there's the whole VR component as well.
But can you make on the flat screen a whole game and then play it in VR?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what we do anyway because. We don't, like, making gameplay and stuff like that is actually a lot easier without the VR headset on. So, yes, you can.
Except the sculpting part? could be very
the
great
sculpting.
in VR.
Yeah, because it's just really fun in VR. And actually, sculpting with the Move controllers is really satisfying. You can do that in VR, out of VR. But yeah, it's really useful for that tool.
And another question is, we Dream support the gamepad and the Move controllers, and for example, the aim controller too.
No, I don't think we do. Or is that just with the? I've never used it in Dream, so I don't think so.
Yeah, it's the aim controllers. You know.
Oh, it's the Move because you use the Move controllers.
Looks like someone.
We have no idea. I've never tried. I wonder. I have to ask someone at the studio. I have no idea.
Okay, yeah. But it's interesting for VR people.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If this controller is used, and if we can make a game with this controller is, for example, used and something. And I have a question about the complexity, because what is when I did with your meta stuff 1 million balloons? There is as a performance at the end sometimes. What happens then?
So what I wasn't showing you on the screen is that we actually do have a device that's very similar to like the little Big Planet thermometer that will tell you like what you're using and if it's going over like sort of the levels like capacity to support that. I didn't get anywhere near hitting it in anything that I was doing, but we actually show that to you, and it helps you. You can help figure out where you can optimize your levels. So if you're using like tons and tons of sculpts, to like cut down on those. So like maybe you have a bunch sticking out from under your world, you can just trim those off. That would be one way to sort of start optimizing. But yeah, we do actually let you know when you're reaching those or when it would affect gameplay.
There are some tools to in the case I used it to 100% or something. Are there tools to reduce the things I created for more performance, like polygon reduction or something?
Yeah, there's ways that you can sort of like figure out how to like save resources in the game. But yeah, you could like remove sculpts, or I mean, some of it like would be like a trade-off of like maybe if you take this thing out, then the game would run better. But I haven't really gotten near to hitting those limits in anything that like I've done. If you're creating like a massive level with tons and tons of detail, you would come closer to hitting that. But you could also make like a much bigger level with a lot less detail and
in the case, I like to make a really retro, low polygon style.
Oh wait,
stuff.
let me show you. I can just show you.
Because this is my favorite stuff.
I should have shown you this in the demo. There's a tool I really love for doing this kind of stuff. It's actually one of the easier things to do in Dreams. It's in the space level. So we have this tool over here that's sitting next to the Sun and Sky gadget called Gradient Effects. And this is basically like all of your like filters for Dreams. So you can make things like bright, contrast, like saturation. There's your like black and white level. This page of it is where things get really fun. So you can start to change like your resolution, and you can make things really pixelated. You can combine all of these two for different effects. So like if I throw on like the scan lines and then start to pixelate it, I get a very different effect. So you can start to create like an 8-bit or 16-bit look. You can posterize, and like I love that one. Or like because we do have a lot of like video effects and stuff too, you can add like sort of like VHS style like glitch effects. And we have a whole bunch of this kind of stuff. So like if you were like adding like a vignette onto your level, maybe make your like J.J. Abrams lens flare on all the lights. Like we have a whole bunch of effects that can allow you to achieve those kind of very different visual looks. So yeah, if you were playing around with the this resolution one, yes, you could make something that looks like super like retro arcadey. Too much.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's. I really enjoy playing around with it because it's really like you can create a lot of really different looking things rather easily. So now we have a little sort of pixelated character without having to rebuild a whole level pixelated.
How much do you think this will be seen as a game, and how much do you think this will be seen as a tool for creating?
I think it really depends on the person. I mean, there will be plenty of people who play it and just play and search through all the things people have made and maybe make collections of those things and share it with other people like that. Like we have to have both in order for Dreams to be sustainable. And I think that you have people who will just enjoy the act of creation, and I think in the middle ground there will be people like me who I really thought that all I was going to be doing in dreams was like playing things and like searching for things and finding all the weird little creative like bits that people have done. And actually I really enjoy using the creation tools, and I've started to make my own like levels and contribute to other people's like games, and I really enjoy making music. It's probably one of my favorite bits. But I wouldn't, if you had asked me when I first started, if I really thought that I was going to be like making things in dreams, I would have been like, well, I'm probably more of a player, and like I'm totally not now. So I think it just sort of depends on your own journey, and dreams sort of like allows you to create any sort of visual style that you want. And I've had so much fun just seeing what's in my coworkers' heads. Like I think I'm just going to be fascinated seeing what's in like communities' heads, and people are going to make some really cool, weird, awesome stuff. That will sustain my interest for a very long time.
Not just ends with the PlayStation 4 area or something?
Oh, I mean, all we're talking about right now is PlayStation 4, but we intend to support dreams for a really long time. I mean, like you alluded to, like it is more than a game. It's also like a platform for games and for movies, and you know, like we can keep adding to it, and we can keep supporting it, and we can keep making games for it. You know, like this is, like I don't know what we would do after this. Right? Just keep making things in dreams.
When can we use it at home?
Yeah, so we're running a beta later this year. So that'll be the first time that we're letting community get their hands on the tools. I'm really excited about it. It's going to be a way for us to like test all the various systems and get sort of like that last round of like feedback from community. And then so once we learn everything that we want to learn from that, launch is next. So we don't have a date yet, but but beta is our next big step.
And the beta will add every tools and everything in, or is it?
Our focus forward is creation, so we want to get the community's hands on the creation tools and also like sort of our community systems in the game. So it probably won't be everything that's in the full release, but it'll be a big chunk, especially the creative tools.
How you will tutorialize this, because the game can come with
we have
someone
a
explaining
whole tutorial team that's working on that now. So like teaching you like the little bits of like how you might make a smaller piece of something, or like how to make a specific kind of game, and just your introductions to all the tools and the various areas of dreams. So yes, we're putting a lot of thought into that.
How important was the VR mode for you?
I mean, that's such a subjective question. Like, I think VR is really cool, but like, Dreams didn't start as a VR game. It's just sort of like I said, like we find all these things that you want to sort of like add and do and put in. So I think it's really cool, and I can't wait to see what people do with it. But like, Dreams on its own is like a massive experience, even if we didn't have it.
Most of the tools you've shown I have, of course, in my professional
Absolutely,
3D software, but this is a very good way to make it usable for normal people. It's
yeah,
great.
I mean, the thing is like, like obviously like we're professionals making it, so, we needed to do all the things that every professional tool can do as well. And, but I mean, our hope too is that really like it's a great way for like students to learn, for aspiring game designers to, because you can sketch things out in a relatively like quick manner. But we've also had people do really architectural stuff in it. Like, I think it'll be a really good learning tool for, aspiring creators, like aspiring 3D artists. And maybe some, we have people that work at the studio that came out of the Little Big Planet community. So you kind of like never know where that can lead you. Yeah, there's lots of stuff we have in the back of our heads, but like it's all like a larger conversation with Sony where we have to figure out like what makes sense and how to go about doing that. Like adding a whole like monetization level into a game is like a whole nother thing. So like we've totally thought about it. We'd love people to be able to to like use their creations in awesome ways and like make money out of it, but like we don't have anything like currently announced for that. I think part of it is just seeing like what people make and how people use it.
Yeah.
Anything else I can answer for you?
Yeah, can we import any Big Planet stuff in it?
Just audio. But if you saw when I was going through those menus, like we've already made like a little Sackboy because we thought that was fun.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, LBP turns 10 in October.
How is it that long?
Yeah.
When did the development start?
Development on Dreams started, I think, around 7 years ago, but it was in research and development, so like a very, very small team that was working on it for just sort of like at its very genesis, and then Media Molecule worked on Tearaway, and Tearaway Unfolded, and then after Tearaway Unfolded, the larger team came back into work on Dreams. We want creators of like all ages to be able to experience it. So, yeah.
The tools are all a bit for blobby things, yeah. You know what I mean?
You can make very hard surface stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a stream that we did a couple months ago, because we stream pretty much like every 2 weeks, and they made like a sci-fi mech game in it, and like a lot of hard surface stuff that's more realistic. It's pretty much up to your individual art style, but yeah, you can do really hard surface stuff, and you can really do like really like sort of like loose and soft things as well.
I have no question left. I'm
okay.
satisfied. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for